Hail adventurers to the recap of session number 14 of Iron Kingdom's All Worlds stage. So, man, almost the last session. Hopefully tomorrow we're gonna be having, at the time of this recording, the last session of this campaign. So, two more videos, one video detailing the final session, and another video, I want to talk about a couple of things the players didn't get to do in the game, and some alternate endings I actually had planned out, but the players right now are stuck in the good ending, so to speak. But more on that next week probably, or the week after that. So last we left off that we're gonna fight the, what did I call it? The Adamant Amalgam. So they started the fight. It was an interesting fight. It was very very tough fight, I'd say. It was very hectic, that's for sure. Coxhood actually ended up, we had to roll on the injury table for her. Only rolled on 11, so that's like the midpoint. So she was only concussed. Nothing really bad happened to her, but she was out of the fight for the final session or so. Or something like that. I'm getting a couple of things mixed up because it's Thursday at the time of this recording, and the game was last Friday, so a lot of things went up, the side of my head by now. But I enjoyed the fight. I had a lot of weird imagery during it. I remember that I discussed there was like this weird guy controlling Adamant Jr. and Adamant. So as they were hitting it and they were defeating it, it actually like bent over and just like dislocated its jaw, and first ate the head of the little kid, and the turn after that, it bent over and ate the head of Adamant. So I was describing it. I wanted to creep out and freak out my players, and I succeeded there. Even though they didn't have any heads, they decided, you know what? Let's because Coxu was knocked out, but she was able to spend a feat point to be able to recover a couple of vitality points. So they're not hit points in this game, so yeah, vitality points. And she actually used her command skill to try to command the kid to drop his weapons. The kid had the rune shots and the rune disc for the rune blade, and the big body had the rune sword and the magelock pistol. Now, he was able to succeed. He actually rolled really high in his command skill. The body of the little kid, even though it didn't have any head to hear from, it actually threw down the ammunition. And then Sterling actually talked to the body of Adam and commanded him to, remember who she was, what she meant to him, and he actually ended up throwing down his weapons as well. So they successfully were able to disarm the boss, so to speak, because it could still attack, but it wasn't as powerful because it was using a combination of the accuracy rune, the damaging rune, which means they get boosted rolls. Instead of rolling 2d6 for damage, they roll 3d6 for damage, and also the heart stopper rune, which is just ridiculous. Just how the game is, you have a defense rating and an armor rating. If you beat the person's defense, you can attack them. Now, the armor rating is subtracted from the damage. So you can roll under the armor rating and you take no damage anyways. But if you roll over it, like if you have 10 points of armor and I deal 12 points of damage, you take 2 points of damage. But the heart stopper, what it does is anything that goes beyond the armor is doubled. So if I have 10 points of armor and you roll 15 in damage, 10 minus 15 minus 10 is 5, but because of the heart stopper rune, you deal 10. And that thing was just using that left and right. It was hilarious. Just so much damage for these guys. They consumed a lot of their feat points to be able to roll out of the way and stuff like that, to mitigate the damage. But after they disarmed it couldn't do that trick anymore. It was just using like its arms to attack them. But at one point, the thing is, every time it bit the head from one of them, it could heal a couple of hit points back, and it got buffed a little bit. Now, when it ate both of them, it actually had only 1 hit point left, but its armor had raised all the way to 20. Now in this game again, you roll 2d6s and add modifiers, so getting to 20 is not very easy. So this guy had 20 points of armor and 1 hit point. So at that point, it actually, the monster, the amalgam, just like the weird thing that was controlling them, actually spat out the heads at them as an attack. And it failed both of them, but I said like you were able to catch it. But I told him you still have to roll a willpower roll because you are freaked out. Now, yeah, that was the end of the fight because Sterling missed her willpower roll, so she just freaked out with the head in her hands, and she wasn't able to act during that round. But Coxswain did it, and well, the player that really was really cool because told me to like, I look at the monster straight in the eye and I say, "Eat this, asshole," or something like that. I know that he did a one-liner and shot and actually dealt 21 points of damage, and I'm like, well done. It actually dealt 21 points of damage and it killed it. So that was fun. Then we had the little, if you play Undertale, I used his theme. If you know Undertale, you know what song I'm playing here. Cause for the Adamant family, I was using the Undertale theme. And then for this scene, I use his theme. So you know where I'm going with this. They return back to the Adamant estate. There they see that the kid is, you know, the kid dies because, you know, he had tuberculosis. But, you know, they explained that the amulet was actually brought back Adam as a ghost, and Adam just realized that he died in the war a couple of weeks back, and he feels horrible about the whole ordeal, that he feels that he mistreated Moira at one point. He tells her that he knew she was a ruffian, he knew she was an outlaw, but he was able to look past all that because he really loved her. And the little kid, like, he comes out of the bed, but the body was still in the bed, so it was obviously his soul, and he tugs on his brother's shirt and he says, "Can we go home now? I'm tired." And oh my word, my wife started crying at that point, because the little kid used to do that when he was alive. Whenever he was with his brother, he would tug him from the shirt and say, "Brother, can we go home now? I'm tired." And my oh my, I feel a little bit sorry that I made my wife cry so much because of that scene. It was sad. Like, I'll be honest, I would cry if I would actually see that animated and like see a whole series of that made and then ends with that. I would probably cry because it was a really sad scene. And you know, I've been wanting to do that scene for a long time now. Like, that was one of the few things I actually wrote down in my notes, because most of the things I do are completely winged. This part of the scene, the whole death scene was winged as well. Blackheart Thornsoul was there. He explained the whole situation about how the kid could control reality with the amulet, but the amulet had to be destroyed, so he destroyed it. And Adam and the little kid said their goodbyes, and they thanked them for showing them such a great life and for being such great friends, and then they just disappeared into the beyond. It was sad. It was sad. Then Coxswain did something that really caught me by surprise, because she goes over to Blackheart because he was gonna say his goodbyes, and she says, "Can we do something where we share my body, because I want you to exist. Like, I told you that I was gonna find a way for you to exist, so can this happen?" And I'm like, "Whoa, really?" And he's like, "Yeah." I'm like, sure. So Blackheart Thornsoul is inside of Coxswain's body, and that gave me an idea. That gave me a crazy idea. The Adamants, you know, Howard Adamant and Lady Adamant, they're like, just give us some time. We're gonna pick up. We're gonna leave. You can keep the town, Moira. You can be the mayor. We want to find somewhere else to set up shop, so to speak, and to, you know, settle down. So they go back to Ranselm, and there Blackheart tells Coxswain, no, Anthony now, because that's what Coxswain named him. He's Anthony. Anthony tells her, "Well, we can find me a compatible body that I could inhabit." And she's like, "Really?" And he says, "Yes, but it has to be a very specific body. I was modeled after Adam Adamant. So if Adam Adamant died, if we find his body, I could inhabit it." and I could leave your body to yourself again. So they go back to town. They sit down and they start coming up with these Ocean's 11 type of ideas to go to the military crypt and take it and steal the casket with his body. It was actually amazing seeing them, and they were like at it for over like 45 minutes just thinking how they can go break it into this military crypt and steal this body. That was really cool to watch the players do that. So they go to Caspia, the capital of Signar, where they're playing, and they go to the crypt. They just, oh, we want to go pay our respects. The guards are like, no problem. They go in. They notice that there are warjacks inside of the of the friggin' crypt, taking care of the crypt, because you know they're warjacks. We're an army, we can afford them, so leave them there to make sure there are no grave robbers. They go to the crypt where Adam's body is, and they notice there's a huge statue with him, and at the base of the statue there's a cavity that's sealed off with cement, and inside that is the casket with Adam's body. And they're like, holy crap, how important was this guy? Well, apparently pretty damn important. They go back, they start thinking about what can we do to create other versions so we can remove the body. They ask Papa, can you open the crypt? And Papa says, yes, I have two options, a quick one and a slow one. They're like, what's the quick one? Dynamite. They're like, no. What's the slow one? A crowbar, but it's gonna take me about a couple of minutes, like 15 minutes. And they're like, okay, we think we can manage. So eventually they decide to come up with this idea of, since Moira, or Miss Goodall, Ellie Goodall, is gonna be the mayor of Grandselm, let's make a public appearance and hail the great hero Adam Adamant with everybody from Grandselm to pay their respects, because it's a mayory thing to do. It's awesome. It's a really good idea. So first they're gonna go inside of the crypt, everybody's gonna pay their respects, and then they're gonna go outside for an activity in honor of Adam. And while everybody's going outside, Papa and Coxwood stay behind. Like, and I told him that's a really good idea, guys. I am amazed. It was a really fun idea. I just imagine everything happening at the same time, then sitting on the table discussing this, and the scene taking place like in Oceans. Not a huge fan of the Oceans series, but I liked them. Then nighttime came. They decided that they were gonna do the activity 3 days from there, and during those 3 days, the Coxhood, the dwarf, she went to the Dwarven Enclave. There she saw the Nis again, who she hates. She got a package from an anonymous person with some bullets for her, a gift for her, and it said from her secret admirer. And she tried and tried and tried and tried to find out who it was. She couldn't. She asked every single dwarf, but apparently this person went through a lot of means to make sure that they weren't discovered. She gets pissed off. And while that's happening, Moira is in the crib just looking at the grave because she's sad. You know, she's still grieving of it. And I tell her, you feel a chilling sensation going down your spine. As you turn around, you see what appears to be a combination between Stormblade armor and a Warcaster armor. And it's a tall man, very white, no eyelashes. I mean, no eyebrows, no hair, completely bald. And he starts talking to you. Well, it's a very sad thing that we lost such a great man in the military. And she's like, yeah, very. And he calls her by name, by the good old name. And so like, well, you know my name. You are, and he says, Adjudicator Brahmin. And she shits herself. She's like, oh, I need to go do a couple of things. And she leaves. She notices that he's just staring at her while she leaves. She freaked out. Then the dwarf is heading back to the inn where they were staying at with the rest of the Thieves Guild. And on the way there, she feels the same deep-rooted tingling sensation of fear in the back of her neck, and she sees Brahmin as well. And Brahmin leaves. I forget what he said. He says something, but he leaves. And then she sneaks around to try to find him. She didn't roll that well in her stealth, but he rolled really well in his detection roll. He notices her and he says, "Why are you following me, little dwarf?" They go back and forth, and eventually he gets pissed off that a dwarf would, talk to him that way. And he's like, "Well, here's what we're gonna do. You're gonna give me the name of the people from the servers organization you talk to, and you may go. If not, I'm taking you to jail." She says, "On what grounds?" "You have information of an ongoing investigation. I'll take you to jail." "Without any trial?" And he says, "I'm the adjudicator. I am the trial." So she gets really pissy against the guy, and I'm like, "Oh, God damn it, dude, why are you doing this?" Eventually he gets pissed off at her. She notices that he's pissed off at her, and she starts running, and I'm like, you know what, fine. He shoots you with a lightning bolt. Because the guy has a storm blade. He shoots you with a lightning bolt. Hits her. And, no, that was the time that she actually got unconscious. Because he kept attacking her. It's like, "Oh, I hide through the crowd." And he shouts at everybody, "Disperse, everybody moves. There's no cover from the crowd." And he forgot that it was about 9 p.m. so there weren't that many people in the capital and the streets anyways. He summons some thunderclouds because he's a combination of Warcaster, Stormblade, and Stormcaller, which is a class from the setting book. He shoots her with a lot of shit, with a lot of lightning. She falls unconscious. That's where we rolled, and I was actually hoping for him to lose at least one limb, but I rolled an 11. And I was like, it would be cool for him just a lightning bolt strikes his arm, hand, leg, or eye, and then he just loses it. It'd be cool, but it would have been given back depending on what would happen later. He takes her to an undisclosed location, tortures her, and I actually tell him you have to roll a willpower roll every 10 minutes game time because you're being tortured. If you fail, you just spill the beans. You just spill the beans. And he tries to give him like a half-truth or something, but the guy has truth reader, so he knows he's lying anyways. I mean, the whole truth reader thing is both a blessing and a curse, sadly. So he rolled a couple of times. He was able to resist the first two, but the third time he just failed outright. He didn't have any more feat points to spend. And he blurs out, it was Anastasia Fury, and it was Anastasia Fury and Marie Bella. And he says, "Thank you. My associates will cater to your needs. They will take you to where you are and give you anything you want. I must go now." And Brahmin just leaves. And he's confused. "So I'm not going to jail?" "No." "I'm not going to be executed?" "No." The helpers take her out, and they're all the time telling her, "Oh, you did a great job defeating the 4 horsemen. It's really amazing what you did getting out of the tumbleweed. We would really like for you to stop your evil ways, but we know you won't. What do you need? Do you need us to take you anywhere? Do you need some food? Do you need more weapons? Do you need a better piece of armor? Whatever you need, ask it and we will give it to you." He's like, "No, I'm fine." And they keep insisting, "Do you need anything?" "Brahmin told us to show you all courtesies. We have to. Whatever you need shall be given to you." And I was actually expecting the player to ask for something for his steam jack, or a better piece of armor, some rune plates, or money. I was actually ready to give him like 500 gold coins, gold crowns for that. But what he asked for eventually surprised me, and it was hilarious. He stops and says, "Wait, somebody has been sending me anonymous gifts. Find who the hell it is." And they're like, "No problem, we'll have the information for you in the morning." And they're like, he's like, that quick? Yes, that quick. She goes back to the inn. Those guys leave. In the morning, she gets a letter that says that yeah, it was Denise sending her all those correspondence letter. She gets pissed off. She explains to Moira everything that happened. She doesn't know what the hell's happening anymore because Brahmin just left. They send Cupid out to check out the city to see if Brahmin is still in the city. And he says no, Brahmin is not in the city. So we have the ceremony. They go in. Papa and Coxwood stay outside. Stay inside. I mean, they open up the crypt very silently. They open the casket. Coxwood touches the body, and Anthony takes over the body. He takes over the body, puts a cloak on, and they put everything back how it was, and they leave. They sneak. Eventually, they just go up to a warjack and tell the warjack, "We got lost. Can you show us out?" And the warjack just shows them out because warjacks are deadly. They're not too smart, and sometimes not at all. They have the end of the ceremony. They leave. They go back to Grandselm, and they're in Grandselm. Coxwood goes to the NIST, confronts them, tells them that no is no. Just deal with it. I don't want anything to do with you. The NIST gets shut down. He gets sad. Eventually, a couple of days later, Anthony feels a lot better. He says, "I'm gonna go on my own now. There's nothing else for me here. I thank you a lot for all the hospitality you've given me, but you know, it's my time to go." Sterling gives him back a ring, the ring that Adam had giving her, and he takes it and he says, "Thank you very much. I'll make sure to treasure this," and he just leaves. He leaves. That's the end of that story. And that was basically almost the end of the session. For the end, what we had was Craster arrives and he tells Sterling, well, Miss Goodall, "Seeing as you're gonna be mayor now, I don't feel right having a mayor working under me in arcane order. So here are some papers. I want you to do one last job for me. After you do this job, I'm gonna sign all the lease papers and the lease forms, and this arcane order will belong to you, and you will be the leader of this arcane order. This will no longer be a branch of my own arcane order." And they're like, "Okay, awesome. That's freaking awesome. That's freaking A. We no longer have to kill this guy to actually make this happen." The last job, they were taken to a really big white carriage. There they saw Mr. Wellsworth, who was an old man they had met a couple of months ago in game. A couple of weeks ago, actually, in game, like a month and a half ago, yeah, give or take. And they go to his lands, his farm, which he calls the Ivory Labyrinth. Now, when they get there, apparently the Ivory Labyrinth is this outlandish hotel slash casino slash brothel down south. And he says, "We found actually we're adding more to the casino. You know, we're adding a bit more to the whole Ivory Labyrinth. And while we were digging to put foundations, we found some really old armor from Orgoth. So we want to remove those things, and you guys are the arcane order to go to." And Wellsworth told them, "Since I know you guys personally, and I know you fine folk are part of an arcane order, I said, why not ask my fine friends at the Hidden Hand to do this for me?" They're like, "That's awesome." And that's where we left. I actually used the gold saucer theme for that whole part. Everything after the fight basically was completely made out at the moment. The session actually lasted around 5 hours again, which is cool. I'm enjoying the fact that a lot of my sessions are going for about 5 hours. That was the end of the session. Next session, hopefully tomorrow, we're gonna have the final boss fight, who I'm pretty sure you guys can guess who it is at this point. And I'm pretty sure the players can guess who it is at this point. I know my wife can, because I told my wife who the final boss was. Thanks for watching the video. Thanks for sticking with me for this long. 15 sessions in total. Awesome. I don't know how long next session is gonna be, because I have a couple of things planned for the Ivory Labyrinth. Nothing too big, because after that they're gonna have the final boss fight as soon as they get to Grandselm. So we'll see how that goes. Then next, I'm gonna have the session recap, and then the episode after that, I'm gonna talk about the alternate endings I have planned out and a couple of ideas I have for the next game I'm gonna run. I'm actually gonna run a combination game, but I don't want to get ahead of myself. If you got to this point in the video, please write down in the comment section below. Let's see. What can I have you guys write so I know that you got all the way down to this point in the video? That head thing was effed up. Yeah, that head thing was effed up. Write that down in the comment section. Cause I mean, maybe that will give people like an incentive to watch the rest of the video. So if you got to this part of the video, write down in the comment section below that head part was effed up. And I'll see you guys next time. And remember, rule number 1: always have fun.